I wanted to start this episode by giving some information to the audience.
Sounds great. I love information. I bet they do too.
Yeah, well, luckily we were able to brief ourselves on this information before we just hit the old big red record button. It's been a fun journey. It's been an excellent adventure doing these podcasts, right?
Good segue. That's why we do real brand promotion on
integration.
This show.
So let's just put it out there, Bill. People probably saw it coming a mile away, but we're going to start a Patreon. I know. We said we weren't going to do a subscription. You're staring at me, and yes, audience, I twisted Bill's arm, but there's a very important reason for the Patreon. Bill, would you like to expand on that at all?
There is. Don't let him fool you, everybody. He didn't twist the arm too hard. The arm was there to be twisted. But we've really enjoyed working on this project. We have a lot of fun. But the truth of the matter is, like any professional project, which this definitely is, we put our heart and soul into this. There are costs involved. There's time. There's things that we want to do to improve it. There's equipment. There's hosting. So for us to keep doing this, we're hoping that we could get some level of steady support from you, our friends out there. And the best way to do it, we decided, was through a platform everyone knows with a lot of flexibility and allows us to set some terms and some levels that are easy to meet and I think will be really beneficial to us and you down the line. So we have decided to go with the Patreon platform.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about like what's going to be on the Patreon in a second. But one thing I really want to highlight is that Patreon is like any other payment service that you've been able to use, PayPal's subscriptions, Netflix, all of these sort of things. But what I don't think people always realize with Patreon is that you can pause memberships. So it's not just turn on or cancel. It's all within your own control so that you don't have to feel like I am committed forever when I sign up. I just wanted to put that out there because I think it becomes very black and white sometimes when it becomes subscription methods.
True. And I am a Patreon subscriber. I have actually supported your projects in the past. I support a couple other things that I'm very fond of. And it's true. You have ultimate say over your stuff. And it's nice to have a certain level of set it and forget it if you're somebody that is able to contribute on a regular basis and you don't want to have to bother with going to it a lot. It's great. Or you can, and I have done this. I have paused subscriptions. Things come and go and you change them out. There's no harm, no foul in that kind of thing. It's great. And our goal with this is to use the platform in every way that it's beneficial to us, which is we're going to make it a fun place to go and hang out and have some neat stuff. And since we want you to be there all the time, you'll be there all the time and you can manage it as you see fit. But the best part about it is it's going to give us a lot of leeway too, to give you some new and interesting things that we want to put out there and just have more fun. And I think it's going to be a great experience.
Yeah, new and interesting. That's the best way to put it because right now, what have we been doing? We've been recording podcast episodes that come out when we're able to record, get them edited, and put out. That's why sometimes we've had to do every other week. Sometimes we've had to take a break in between seasons just to make sure that when we do start releasing things, they release at a semi-regular basis. Well, now the Patreon allows us to keep doing those podcasts and more. So we're going to have maybe some short little video episodes, like of you and I hanging out, showing off our fun little collections. Maybe we will have a live watch along where everyone can tune in and watch us all watch a movie and have our fun little commentaries like we used to do with Sold in the Room. Maybe the new season of Planet of the Apes that we recorded for the podcast will be behind that paywall. All of these things will happen and more. And so we figured the best time to start the Patreon would be right after our Marvel series, but right before our Planet of the Apes series.
Yep, that gives everybody an even chance to come on board with it and check everything out and just enjoy what we're going to do with this and see that it's not just going to be a thing where you get no more for your money than what you got before, which that is not going to be the case. And hopefully with enough support, we can do some of the things that we've planned to do. And all other people say it, but it is true. It will help us keep the lights on in both places. All these things do cost money. I think we live in a time now where everybody knows lots of people have their hobbies or their side jobs or other things like this out there. And everybody knows there's costs incurred. So we want to be able to cover those. We want to be able to keep doing this because it is so much fun. And because we want to use these tools that Patreon's going to give us to actually get more involved with you out there and bring some of you on board, like Rob said, with the watch alongs, or we don't even really know. We've just begun to explore the options we can do on this thing, but we are committed to making it a fun place to come and hang out. And it will definitely be worth your contributions.
Yeah. One more cool thing I want to say, Bill, is that like right now, pretty much the only way people have to chat about the stuff with us is either by following us on specific social media channels or leaving reviews on Apple if they use iPhone, right?
Right.
Well, now Patreon has it all in one hub. You can direct message us there if you've got a suggestion for something you'd like us to watch. Each episode has a comment section so people can be chatting on there. Every post we make has the ability to start a conversation with us and other people in the club. It's just going to bring us all together as a fun, like Bill and Rob's community. Like we've always said, we don't have fans, we have friends. And now our friends have a clubhouse. It's going to be great.
It is going to be great. And I can tell you from personal experience, being able to go to a one-stop place to do all these things is so great because, you know, Rob, I do a side project in social media, and as much fun as that can be, as much fun as I like to see our accounts be on Instagram and Twitter, to be able to just go in one place and hang out and leave a message and watch some stuff and just be seen and heard is kind of awesome in today's internet with so many places and so many choices. And especially with Patreon, they've got it down. You know, it's something, you know, they've got a system that works and it's ready made and it's something we don't have to create. So we are going to focus on taking advantage of the things Patreon has already made to give you guys out there a lot more fun with us.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, we should let everyone know that we have today's episode, and then in a couple of weeks, we'll have another public episode on this feed. And then occasionally in the future, we will still be throwing some of our fun Patreon episodes into this feed. So if you're on the fence, you still got to think about it. You're not sure. This feed isn't going away. We're just directing our attention to Patreon.
Absolutely. There will always be some things coming in here to let everybody know what we're doing. And exactly like you said, Rob, consider it the test drive. If it's a series and you think I'd like to hear more of that, then that means we've proven that it's a worthwhile thing and you won't feel bad about going over to Patreon and supporting us there and getting involved and listening to all the things and see the other things that Rob and I make.
All right, everyone. Now, please enjoy today's episode.
Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I'm Rob Schulte. And Bill, today we have a couple of guests. One guest I introduced you to, and one guest I rudely didn't before we started recording. So I'll do that now live on air. We have Kate Shapiro and Jack Allison, the writers of the new book, Kill the Rich, available for pre-order now at killtherichbook.com. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll leave it a mystery who Bill was able to meet before the show and who he's meeting just now.
Yeah, write in. Let us know, listeners.
This isn't a mystery show. This isn't a whodunit. That's for the Columbo cast we're going to do in 2036.
Yeah. Got to survive somehow. Well, thanks for joining us, y'all. It's no mystery for anyone who subscribes to the Rob Schulte family of podcasts that we've done a few interviews here and there. You're on Vanderpump Rob's. You are on the, at the time of this recording, upcoming episode of Doing It with Mike Sachs. And I'm happy to have you on here because we get to explore the media space even further.
Yeah, more LA, a different side of LA. We saw the Vanderpump side, and now we're seeing a slightly different side.
Yeah. Now, Kate and Jack, we watched Escape from LA, but before we get to that, can we just talk a little bit about, like, Bill, you kind of put it perfectly in past episodes, but because of our age difference, we kind of have approached movies from 10 or 20 years ago or even 30 years ago differently. We were kind of wondering what you guys grew up with, what type of movies that you connected to, and where you're at with them now. Do you rewatch or do you search for new stuff?
I was actually kind of dreading this. Lately, I just not the show, but this part of the show, because I was like, what movies do I like? I like horror movies. I guess that's mostly the things I go back to and watch over and over again. I love Climax by Gaspar Noé, where all these dancers do LSD. And
this is what you were watching when you were a child?
No, when I was a child. Okay, I wasn't watching that. But there was when I was a kid. My parents were watching it. We were all watching Pulp Fiction together when I was 6 years old. And then my the rape scene of Pulp Fiction came out. My mom and dad were like, you have to leave now. And I was like, no, I don't want to leave. I'm enjoying this movie that I don't understand at all.
And this is the scene that made us kick you out,
Yeah, then when I finally did watch it, I was like, this is okay. But yes, anyway, when I was a kid, I guess I watched Star Wars all the time. Indiana Jones. The only one of the Indiana Joneses, only the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Independence Day was a big favorite of mine. And the Royal Tenenbaums, my parents took me to right after they told us that they were getting divorced. So,
as a kind of like, yeah, see, it's not so great to be in a family. Yeah, families aren't so great.
Oh, man.
And they say movies can't just be educational and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that was TMI, but that's my life for you.
Trust me, I've said quite the similar topics, especially with my dad and his crazy, I don't like music, but I'm going to own a rhythm and blues bar band. Extrapolate on that all the time. Jack, what about you?
So yeah, growing up, well, funnily enough, I was reminded by Kate's story about Pulp Fiction that just like surfaced a memory where my parents were watching Boogie Nights and they were like, you need to leave right now. Like, I don't know if they didn't know what it was about or something, but like it was within the first 5 minutes, they were like, you need to leave the room immediately.
I'm so jealous of all of you because when I walked in the room on my parents watching A Clockwork Orange with my brother and his girlfriend, they didn't say a word to me. I had to remove myself from the room.
Well, and as far as like what I watched when I was a kid, it's kind of similar to Kate. I watched all the whatever Lucas, Spielberg movies. Star Wars is the big one that, really imprinted on my mind and in an unhealthy way. And those I still will revisit, but don't, really take in any of the new stuff anymore. Back to the Future was like a really big series for me as a kid. And I think that I did get to go to the theater for 3, even though I was quite young to understand it. But my thing growing up was that my dad was sort of an early adopter of being a DVD buying addict. And so this is not so much when I was a kid, but almost in my sort of preteen, teenage years. I feel like I was made to watch like kind of all the classic movies during the age when I just didn't pay attention nearly at all to them. So I have this kind of weird sense memory of a lot of movies that like when I'll watch them now, I'll be like, I think I've like seen this before, but I was probably like also reading a comic book or like, playing a Pokemon game or something like that while I watched it. So yeah, we were kind of a movie family, but the big ones for as a kid were Back to the Future and Star Wars.
Yeah. Bill, I know you've talked about like taking the family truck to the VHS rental, right?
Yeah, we did that. Or basically my, TV was free, so consumed TV in mass quantities back in those days. Movies were different. Movies were special treats. Parents didn't really encourage it. My sister took me to a lot of things, so But, if I wound up with my mom and my sister, that's how I wound up watching On Golden Pond and going, this ain't no Star Wars. Coming out of the Sunrise Theater. But when I got a VCR and you got a little bit older and went to college, lived next to the video store, I would pour over stuff. And then that's when I got into the things I didn't get to see Escape from New York, in the theaters. I was too young for that, but that wasn't exactly the kind of sci-fi / action movie I would gravitate to. But once I got a little older, I did. And then the next thing I know, I think my parents knew that was something that I really liked, and they got a video membership and never really rented a movie other than me. So that's worked out pretty well.
And you kept that membership card to this day.
Don't you laugh. I just downloaded an image from the old video store so I can make a custom t-shirt because I have fond memories of North Campus Video.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of the same way. We had Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom VHS tape that we got at McDonald's.
Wow.
And
like from someone at McDonald's,
no,
or like, and they used to sell it at McDonald's.
It was some sort of deal that was going on at the time.
You could buy them. They were special purchased movies back in the day for promotion. You bought the McDonald's edition of that, which was just that movie.
Because VHSs, I remember during rentals, they were like video game priced at one point, right? Weren't they like $80 or something?
In the late 80s, they were $80 and $90. I remember the video poster for Hunt for Red October in our local department store, and you own it for $89.99, and I was like, that's an amount of money I'll never make in my lifetime. I still don't make that much money.
Yeah, so 90's still a lot. 90's still a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's get into today's episode. We like to do these one-off ones just for fun, just because you never know when you're going to be able to just throw in some weird John Carpenter's 90s movie in between our series of Planet of the Apes and Predator and everything else we've done. But funnily enough, I would think most people would choose Escape from New York, not us. We're the wild ones here, the big screen boys, right, Bill?
Absolutely.
Deciding to watch Escape from LA first. I had never seen this movie. I know you had, Bill, but Kate, Jack, had you guys seen Escape from LA before?
No. I think I've seen Escape from New York, but its memory holds somehow. And I don't think I saw it that long ago, but
yeah,
I have like a tactile memory of watching it, but not this one.
I don't know if I'd seen... I certainly don't think I had seen Escape from LA. I watched both, sort of in preparing for this. I wanted to see both of them. And I would have sworn, like I would have signed an affidavit saying that I had seen Escape from New York before. I like John Carpenter. I'm a John Carpenter fan, but I don't know if it's just one of the ones I saw when I wasn't paying much attention or something, or if I've just seen The Warriors and also played Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. But like I could swear I've never seen this movie before, and really enjoyed Escape from New York. And I won't spoil how I felt about Escape from LA, but yeah, I hadn't seen it before, and I'm kind of sure I hadn't seen Escape from New York before.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of floating in the same realm here, but maybe we can get to it after I give our listeners a little back of the VHS box synopsis. I found this one very funny because it is very 1997. It goes like this. The man with the patch is back. Call him Snake. Kurt Russell rejoins filmmakers John Carpenter and Deborah Hill to do to the Big Orange what they did to the Big Apple.
The Big Orange?
I know. Is it?
What?
Oh, L.A., the Big Orange.
Uh-huh.
With even more futuristic thrills and slam-bang action. Into the 9.6 quaked Los Angeles of 2013, same year Vanderpump Rules started, comes Snake Plissken. His job, wade through LA's ruined landmarks to retrieve a doomsday device. Don't miss the excitement as Snake surfs Wilshire Boulevard, shoots hoops at the Coliseum, dive bombs the Happy Kingdom theme park, and mixes up with a wild assortment of friends, fiends, and foes. Escape from LA is a go for broke action extravaganza, says Roger Ebert. Wow, the thing that I think they're missing from this is how sexy it is. Bill and I have found most 90s VHS boxes like to tell you how sexy people are.
Well, that was before porno, and so it actually used to be a selling point that you might be able to see sex or breasts. No longer. Now they have to offer a warning for that so that people can avoid it.
Yeah. Well, I think we should just go around and just maybe start on the positives and say some things we liked about the film. Bill, do you want to start this for us?
Well, there's a lot I like about this film, a whole lot. One of the things I like best is this is a movie with Pam Grier in it, and I think she's amazing. She plays a character called Hershey, and she is a down by the docks crime lord who's got a secret. Once you find out about it, she's just great. She brings a real gravitas to this film. This film is filled with wacky characters, and I think a lot of them are pretty good for the most part. Some stand out, some don't, but she also gives this movie kind of an Escape from New York vibe. Escape from New York had Adrienne Barbeau in it and some other characters, and these are pretty interesting people, kind of bigger stars and more well-known people that know how to get the best out of a action / sort of comedy kind of adventure movie like this. And she just chews up some scenery, but she chews it low key. And it just reminds me of those great exploitation movies that Carpenter grew up on and had kind of made in the vein of that. And this is kind of what this is. It's disaster exploitation mixed with sci-fi action. And I just like seeing her. She comes in near the end of the movie. So after a steady diet of insanity for the most part from all the actors that roll through, she just hits with a nice note of realism at the end that kind of, for me, settles the movie down a little bit and really makes that 20-minute run to the end a lot of fun.
It's very weird because everyone seems so campy and comic booky in this, and that's kind of like one of the things I liked about it is like how over the top it is. Like, it's silly and it's, like I said, campy, which is in total contrast to the grittiness of the first one that I really liked as well. So it's kind of, I don't know, a double-edged sword there. Kate, was there anything that you really liked about it?
I liked that there was a villain for everybody. If you hate Ronald Reagan, guess what? You can hate Ronald Reagan. If you hate communists, Che Guevara is there too for you to also hate. The Cubans are on their way to Miami and they're huge warships, and you can be scared of that as well. Like, no matter who you are in this world, there's someone to hate in this movie.
And if you hate technology, well, maybe this is the movie for you as well.
I maybe I'll be the outlier here, but I did like a lot about the movie, to be honest with you. And, I think it's very different than Escape from New York, and it's probably not as good. But I do think that they both kind of reflect the era that they were made in. And so one of the things I did really like about this is sort of like the 90s brightly lit, like the film stock of the 90s. Like, there was a part where they're in the sewer and there's just a bright green light on bubbling water. And I'm like, we just don't put bright green lights on bubbling water the way we used to in the 90s. And I think a lot of people would maybe see this as a negative, but I actually found myself really enjoying the sort of early computer 90s effects in this, which have like a very specific aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like, I think that like there's a way you can kind of enjoy them as little pieces of CD-ROM art unto themselves in a way that like kind of the modern gloss, it's just so video gamey. I don't know, maybe it'll like grow on me as time goes on, but I kind of liked that these shots looked fake, but in a way that was like sort of very stylized, I enjoyed the movie. I did.
It's kind of amazing that they look as good as they do because the effects house, Buena Vista, did not know how to make these effects. They had no clue what they were doing when they brought this film. They're like, we've never done this before. And I think they might have done what you just said there, Jack. They might have just gone to a video game house and went, make please. Don't know, giant wave.
There's something kind of appealing. There's almost like a Sin City quality to some of the shots. Like when he's surfing the wave and we have Steve Buscemi in the car and it's kind of all flat looking, but it's like effects like with, green screen shots and stuff. I'm like, there's a weird sort of comic booky quality to this that if it was too realistic, it might feel even dumber or something.
And it's interesting to look at these in that time capsule way. This is what Rob and I do, is that I remember when this movie came out, these effects were great for the time. You really could hold them up against a lot of other things, even though they weren't great. But when you go to the movies and see this up there, you're kind of lost in it for a minute. So yeah, you'll pick it up on the other end, but it's got a great look to it. it's such an extreme 90s feel to everything, and kind of makes sense. It's been a lot of years since Escape from New York got made, and I think you picked it right up on the head, Jack, with like, it is a movie of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Kate, you were saying, there's someone for everyone to hate, which I think is a great point too, because like the movie is so filled with everyone has an enemy, like there's no middle ground. It's like, you are the enemy of the United States, or you are the enemy of LA. And it's just so funny to see it over the top like that.
I kind of like that the only person who's good in this is Snake. And everybody sucks. Like, you could look at it and be like, are the politics good in this movie? And I'm like, I don't even know. I think the politics are just that, like, everybody's stupid except for Snake.
Yeah. I like that. And a final thing that I liked about this is that Bruce Campbell is the Surgeon General.
So good.
Just the scene that, like, yes, LA plastic surgery, everyone's, losing their minds, but it's also still clinging to this reality that they know. But Bruce Campbell just does such a great job of like being this evil doctor for like a quick 10-minute scene. It's great.
I was so looking forward to all of you seeing that scene, because you think about these movies like Escape from New York, it's always the theme of trying to get some level of functional normality back into your disaster. So of course all the criminals in New York, they're still being gangs and doing their affiliates just to get by. And I love it that the LA version of this, everybody's trying to keep their plastic surgery going and their tanning going and their surfing habits going. Like, they've all just tried to default back to quote normal, unquote. And that's one of them. And I'm like, boy, it's a good thing that none of the health services and none of the code survived in this thing, because your operating room sucks, Bruce Campbell. That is some nasty stuff going on there.
Well, should we move on to maybe a few dislikes in the film, Bill?
Sure, if you can find any.
Oh, I know it was tough combing through everything. Bill, why don't you top us off again?
So, going off what Kate said, yeah, there's somebody for everybody to hate in this movie, but one of the things I don't care for is Cliff Robertson's President of the United States portrayal. It's not that it's bad. Donald Pleasance in the first movie didn't really have a lot to do. He was just kind of a schmuck, and you see him a little bit. But he is a caricature of Pat Robertson. This has been said behind the scenes before. That's kind of his televangelist bit going on. But he's also kind of played like this maniacal, power-grabbing politician. But the problem is he's not really funny when he's trying to be funny, and he's not really evil when he's trying to be evil. So he comes off kind of dead to me. And he's the one thing I don't care to watch on screen, because every time he's on there, he seems to be taking away from something else. The whole through the movie, I'm just expecting Stacy Keach to just shoot him off camera and take over, because I think Keach is great. I think he and Russell on screen together work better.
And Michelle Forbes, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Forbes in there. Ensign Rowe.
Yeah, she's amazing to see her on there. So I would like to have seen a better actor, or at least a more evil-looking actor, in a different take. They could have got Larry Hagman. I'd have been thrilled.
Well, and it's so weird seeing fake presidents in movies now.
It is.
Maybe it was, 2016 of it all, but now it's just like so far removed seeing like someone, quote, play president.
Honestly, I've been saying this for years, and he would do it. It's time to get Trump to play the president in a movie. He would do it. He's the only president, except maybe Obama would do it too.
Yeah.
But let's get Trump to be the president in just like an alien invasion movie. Like, I'm so
Mars
about
attacks president.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, give him $1 million and he would do it. Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no question about it. He would probably not run for president again. If somebody just cast him in a movie and we're like, we're going to shoot over like 2 years and you'll get $2 million, he'd be like, I think I'd rather do that. I swear to God. You could save the country by making Trump the president in Mars Attacks 2.
I love that idea, and I will be signing a change.org petition to make it happen. Kate, what did you dislike about this film?
The whole EMP thing, like shutting the nation into darkness. I'm like, can't they just turn the lights back on again? Like I was like, why can't they just have nukes? Like, why can't we just have the nuke thing? And also, I was like, EMPs, I feel like I only know that from this movie and Ocean's 11. And I was like, are they even real? And so I Googled them. I'm like, has anyone ever used one? And like it's like the United States government says that they are real and that they have them. But there's no one's used them. There's no proof that they exist.
I promise they exist, guys. I promise.
Yeah. I wish they would up the stakes to just nukes. I didn't like this turning off the cities. Just nuke the cities. Nuke Miami.
I think that there was supposed to be, or they were like at least planning to do Escape from Earth, and it never happened because this one got like critically, savaged. And so that could be a function of them trying to like sort of set groundwork for what a sequel could look like, if you don't nuke the entire Earth.
You're right, Jack. Actually, Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars was kind of supposed to be a Snake Plissken movie with him escaping Earth and heading to Mars, which, you talk about your extreme 90s. Let's roll that right into the new millennium. But
here's the thing. I said it before. This is in the era of Vanderpump Rules, and we didn't see an underwater Sir when he's in the submarine.
Just like how there was the Twin Towers in Escape from New York.
Yes.
They couldn't predict what was going to happen. They couldn't predict that there was going to be a Sir there as well.
They couldn't give us a Tom John. But no, there's a little bit of predictability in this movie that became a lot easier having seen Escape from New York, because it was like, oh, he glides into New York, so he's taking a submarine into LA, and like that is the perfect analog of like, well, I wonder if there's going to be a switcheroo at the end of this movie. And when he never uses his personal hologram, that became easier for me the longer the movie went on to go, oh, at what point is that going to pop up? Did it ruin it? No, but it is one of those things where it's like, if Escape from New York didn't exist, I wouldn't have seen a lot of stuff coming in Escape from LA. And one side comment, and Jack, maybe you're the only one who this will resonate with, but lots of cops dressed like the late Bugman.
Yeah, lots of visored cops. I mean, but that is almost a prophetic thing, because we got a lot of Bugman looking cops in real life now.
That's true.
Cops are behind the mirrored visors pretty often.
Definitely. So it falls under the dislikes ultimately. But Jack, you seem to like this movie.
Yeah.
Almost at par with Bill. Maybe you guys are top tier here, but was there anything you disliked?
So I first of all, I'll offer a slight pushback to what you said, because I actually, though I agree with you, and that, I really got ahead of a lot of the plot points in this because it was exactly like a mirror copy of the first one. There's something about that appeals, because movies like back in the day kind of came with the supposition that expected no one to have ever seen the last one, and certainly never to have remembered it. And so there was a part of me that liked the sort of like old way that movies were made, sort of contrary to Marvel now, where it's like you're expected to remember not only 30 movies but like 6 separate television shows and like have an encyclopedic knowledge. Like there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'm getting ahead of this, but it is kind of fun that they're just outright doing the last movie over again because people don't have such encyclopedic knowledge of what movies were, so I don't know. I agree with that though.
No, that's fair though. That is a good way of putting it, because like it feels like reverse brain rot, whereas like all of the Marvel movies are making you think in this, I have to retain everything. It is kind of fun to like take the straps off for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it came out 15 years after the previous one. You gotta like, this is kind of in the sort of nascent days of VHS, and so maybe someone would be able to rent a copy or something, but this is not like, the assumption I would assume is not that people will have watched Escape from New York like the moment before watching Escape from LA.
Well, and it's almost a remake rather than a sequel.
Yeah, it pretty much is. As far as my complaint about it, I think that this has happened in other movies too. It's really fucking hard to make a movie that has a part set at Disneyland. You're never going to be allowed to use Disneyland. And so you're going to have to make it a Disneyland alike. And Disneyland just has so much money put in and so much production value that the fake Disneyland is never going to evoke Disneyland. And it's always pretty much going to look like shit. There was that zombie movie that was supposed to be at like a Disneyland. What the fuck was that? There was like Zombieland, it was called. I think, actually. Zombieland. And yeah, like, I think that if you're just don't try to do Disneyland. I think that's the lesson is, or maybe if Universal will let you do it, which I did like the Universal appearance in this movie. The brief Universal and the shark, presumably the shark from the tram ride, swims past. But yeah, that would be my complaint is just don't try to do Disneyland because it never quite works.
Well, let's do a quick round the table of just like our favorite amusing moment, and then we can rate this thing. And then I want to hear about y'all's book. Bill, why break tradition? Why don't you start us off here?
So one of the great things about this movie for me is the stuff we've just been talking about. Getting to see all the paintings and models of a destroyed LA. It's that voyeur disaster porn type of thing that you kind of watch one of these movies for. You want to see, oh, what did they do? How does this look? And so especially that whole underwater trip in the submarine, we don't see as much in New York. You get the little stick models and you can't really see any big stuff out of that, but you see the Capitol Records building laying on its side and all this stuff. And fun trivia part, when Snake's sub crashes into that building at Universal's theme park there, that's a building that Carpenter said he went into all the time to talk to executives, and it would made him so miserable he wanted to crash something into it. So he made a movie about it.
That's awesome.
And so traveling through this whole scenery, like you said earlier, Jack, this movie has a lot of story beats. Rob, you said it too. But the thing is, this isn't like new movies where they hit you in the face with that callback so hard that you can't not miss it. A lot of them they're just part into the story. They're telling same story beats, but not really smacking you around with, oh, that's like last time. Oh, that's the thing. The worst thing they do is the variant of the stupid catchphrase where I thought you'd be taller, where in Escape from New York, everybody was asking Snake Plissken, oh, I thought you were dead. That's one thing they could have done a little less of in that movie. If they'd hit it once or twice, that would have been fine. But yeah, the whole look of this movie just amuses the crap out of me everywhere they go, everything they see, because we're still practical. So they built a lot of rock piles. They brought in a bunch of wrecked cars, and the pictures and the films and the matte paintings are good enough for me. Like Rob and I just finished watching a bunch of Planet of the Apes movies, and some of those were really good. And it's just fun to see that image up on the screen and kind of lose yourself in that for a minute. So that's my favorite amusing part.
I love it. Jack, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned a couple of them already. As far as little amusing parts, I really did I actually rewound because I almost missed the Universal thing and was I have to go back and see the Universal. I really liked the Surgeon General. I think that's funny for a lot of reasons. And I also kind of just like the episodic kind of Ulysses, Iliad feel to it of he's going on all these little sort of mini adventures. And the Surgeon General really has almost nothing to do with the main plot. It's just a little side adventure that they go on. And also, I actually liked that they repeated the beat of briefly introducing a sort of fake out love interest who dies pretty quickly afterwards. So that's also something that threads through the Surgeon General. And yeah, I just did enjoy it. And I also, it's just a side thing, as someone, I actually felt as a Metal Gear Solid fan, Snake is obviously a ripoff of Snake Plissken in those games, that I saw more ripped off from Escape from LA than I saw ripped off from the original movie in those games. Him entering with the sub and a lot of the vibe is really ripped off from Escape from LA. And I was kind of surprised to see so much of that for Metal Gear Solid anyway. Totally.
Especially with some of the Metal Gear Solid 2, visuals and stuff from the computer stuff you were talking about earlier. I completely agree. Kate, what did you find amusing?
I like that in the middle of the movie, they had a scene where Kurt Russell just has to do a basketball trick shot challenge for his life. It's life or death trick shot challenge.
That's another one too, where it's okay, they got the Coliseum. They probably wanted Staples Center. Yeah. I'm the Coliseum. So everyone's at the Coliseum and there's a weird little tiny basketball court, sectioned off, and they're all, it's very weird, but they probably wanted Staples for that, but got the Coliseum.
I'm watching that scene and all I can think about is they've got to pick up so much paper because, they couldn't trash anything. So the only thing they could do was make this huge mess in the middle of the LA Coliseum. And it's oh my God, somebody's got to clean that up.
Kate, you actually took it right out of my mouth. I
I'm sorry. I thought someone was going to steal it from me first because it was clearly the best part.
Hey, these are escape from LA rules. You do what it takes to survive in this episode.
Well, and I also felt kind of dumb because I was like, oh, this seems really easy. And then as he gets to 6 points, I was like, wait, is he going to make it in the next? It's such a weird challenge that then you're actually kind of the stakes work. And then I'm just like,
and he's so short and he made every single one of them.
I mean, that's the power of the layup. That's the power of the layup. I will say, there was the shot at the end of that, and maybe there was a trick there. Maybe there's some hidden cut, but there was a long oneer where he throws it from all the other way at the end of the court and lands it. And I was like, they didn't cut away. That was a little oneer.
All those shots are real.
Wow.
Russell did every one of those shots. There was no way to fake it anyway, and he didn't want to. He wanted to make all those shots, so he practiced in between takes, and every single one of those he did on his own.
I mean,
that's
I need a Netflix docuseries about preparing for that scene.
Of just 1,000. I don't know how many shots he had to take to do every one of them, but he got every one of them.
That's amazing, actually.
Rocky-style montage.
I don't think we mentioned during the recording, but this man didn't age a day between 1981 and 1996. He truly looks like exactly the same man in the movie he made 15 years earlier.
Yeah, I'm betraying my nerd for this movie because I know that Russell kept his original Snake Plissken outfit. Wow. He loved Escape from New York and drug it out, and that's it. He put it on and didn't have to do a thing just to put it on. He was still in the same build he was then.
God damn. Well, that's
I know.
amazing.
Makes me want to go to the gym 900 times more often.
Yeah, well, we can't all be pumped through every Hollywood drug. Now, Bill, you have a way you like to rate these films, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Would you explain it to us?
So we like to do this easy. If you remember when you go back into a movie rental store, there was usually that rack in the back or over by the cashier's rack, and it would say something like 5 nights for $1, and there'd be all these movies that you could rent for $1 and keep them for most of the week, usually 5 nights. So we rate this movie on that system by its own, not compared to anything else. If you've gone into the video store, you've rented Escape, you've got your 5 nights for $1. After you've watched it, how many nights are you going to keep this movie for? That is the rating system. So let's start, instead of me, let's go to you this time, Robs. I'm curious to see what you would do with this rental.
Well, I'll keep it short and sweet. The more I talk about this movie, the more I like this movie. And I think watching it immediately after Escape from New York didn't do it any services. I don't think it helped it. I think if I would have just watched Escape from LA without having seen Escape from New York, I would have liked it even more. So with all of that being said, I don't think I'm going to keep it all 5 nights. But I definitely think I'm going to keep it 3 nights and then put it on in the morning the next day while I'm doing chores and then return it. So 3.5 days, 3.5 nights, let's say. What about you, Kate?
I'm going to judge this of when blockbusters existed in my life. Ooh. So me and my brother would have rented this movie for 5 days, and then we would watch it probably 4 times a day. If it's in the middle of the summer, we would just rewatch it over and over again. That's what we did. And then we would probably get into a fight on day 3, and he would take it and rewatch it with all of his friends, and then I wouldn't have it. So I guess 3 days for me, but 5 days for the whole family.
I like it. How about you, Jack?
So I'm also going to rate it based on, when Blockbuster was around. And I think especially, being in LA, there was a lot of appeal to this. And this is one weirdly that I never did watch as a kid, but I saw always and wanted to get. And maybe my dad thought it was crappy or something, so he wouldn't let me get it. But the way I see this going is I think I would have kept it for the 5 days. And I think we would have forgotten about it and fucked up and ended up having to give Blockbuster the $90 or whatever they charge you for not returning it.
Awesome. I'm living in LA. That would have been nice. No one's making Escape from Dallas anytime soon.
The way things are going now, people are escaping from LA to Dallas.
Wow.
Jay.
Yeah, prophetic in some ways.
That's what's happening.
All right. Last but not least, Bill, how many days are you keeping this film?
Oh, this one's easy for me. Having actually seen this movie in the theater and rented this movie in real life, I'm keeping it the full 5 nights. It's that kind of fun movie for me. And we've noticed that Escape from New York, Escape from LA, 2 different movies. I watch them for 2 different reasons. Gritty, I like the Escape from New York version just well, but when I want to have a little bit of 90s extreme fun, this is the movie I go to. It's got a lot going for it. It's a lot of laughs. It's a lot of action. It's just a fun movie. And Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken, I'll take him in either version. So I'm going to keep it for the 5 nights, and then I'm going to go back to the video store, turn it in, and I guarantee you I'm going to be back there probably in at least a few more weeks, probably wanting to rent it again as I pass by it on the shelf. So it's going to be in constant rotation in my VCR.
Oh, man. Well, we need to turn Texas into an island and make another movie. Now,
I do like the idea of exile. I like that about this movie.
Yeah.
I think we should bring it back. We should be doing more exiles.
I think that could be written into a really entertaining novel. And speaking of, you guys have a book that's available for pre-order now called Kill the Rich. You want to give us a lowdown on what it's about?
Sure, there's some Escape from LA in there. It's near future, like Escape from LA, and ostensibly America has elected a communist president who ran on the slogan "Kill the Rich," and when he gets into office, he starts making good on that. And so the book opens with them putting Kim Kardashian to death for poisoning an entire small town.
We also have a character in exile in Russia who is a rich Instagram influencer who's doing she gets her social media accounts taken away, and she's doing everything she can to get her accounts back. And then we have a pizza delivery driver in Vegas whose brother goes missing, and she has to go to this town run by a meme-obsessed internet guy, similar to the one who owns Twitter, who has a kind of gigantic compound in the middle of Nevada, and all their stories intertwine, and they have to stop an attack on the United States.
Very exciting political satire, and it's available at killtherichbook.com. If you want one, if you pre-order, you'll get one signed by me and Kate, which is very, very exciting.
Oh, very exciting. I've actually pre-ordered mine, and I'm going to bully Bill into doing the same. Already.
You're not going to have to bully me, because a couple of things about that. One, I like the fact that it makes me think of the Aerosmith song "Eat the Rich," which is why I've been saying here, going, not eat the rich, not eat the rich. The name of the book, right? But also that, hey, you know what? We live in a world now where these kind of threats feel a lot more heavy than they used to. And social media is now that kind of a wasteland that we can create. So this is great. And it really looks like a fun concept. It's the kind of stuff I like. So that's amazing. And I'd like to throw in a side note is, Jack, I'm also become a new fan of Struggle Session.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I'm glad you're checking it out. It's a fun time over there. I was just going to say, Eat the Rich, it just sounds like it would give you indigestion. And while the book title is not an instruction, I'm not really trying to eat human beings. I just don't want the wealthy to have power over our lives. It seems like it'd be stringy, to be honest with you. I think humans are a little lean. Yeah,
for sure. Well, Kate, Jack, thanks for joining us on Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. You can come back anytime to talk about any weird John Carpenter movies you'd like, or hell, maybe we can watch Back to the Future one day.
I think I prefer John Carpenter these days, honestly.
In the Mouth of Madness, that's one of my top 10 fave movies of all time.
Hell yes.
That's the one that's like Stephen King, right? Is that right? It's a Stephen King.
Yeah, it's Stephen King. He's actually writing like real stuff and
so
like that in the middle.
Good.
It's so weird. And no one has ever seen it.
It's about an insurance agent who is our big hero who has to go find Stephen King. It fucking rocks.
Oh, hell yeah. Bill, let's put it on the list.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank everybody for coming on. It's been great listening to all of you. And Rob, as always, this has been a great time. What we ask of everybody is please go check out all the stuff from all our creators here. Go check out Jack and Kate. Their stuff is great. Check out the podcast Jack does. Struggle Sessions, awesome. Look them all up. Of course, we just always say a lot of the times we don't have fans. We have friends, and friends help each other out. So please like, share, support, review us if you like the show. If you don't like the show, review us anyway and give us 5 stars and lie. It's good karma. All the links and descriptions of all the things that we've got going on here, the book and everything will be included here. And just, again, thanks, Kate and Jack, for coming on tonight. It's been a blast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.